Hello, friends. We're going to be learning about birds around our world, and one of the most important things birds need to create to raise their young is a nest. And this book is really fun because it shows how different birds adapt to different habitats and growing conditions and nesting materials wherever they live. So it's a really neat way to explore the world of birds and their beautiful nests they create. This book is by Jennifer Ward, illustrated by Steve Jenkins. And I learned a lot when I read this book. You can be on the lookout for nests too. Mama built a little nest inside a sturdy trunk. She used her beak to tap, 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 the perfect place to bunk. This is a woodpecker. Tree hole nests, also called cavity nests, are created by the male and female woodpecker. So they will use their strong beaks to create an opening in the trunk of the tree where they'll lay the eggs and raise their young until they're big enough to fly or fledge. Woodpeckers have a special relationship with trees because they eat harmful bugs that cause damage to the trees. So they have a partnership, a special friendship. Mama built a little nest, a cup so wee and snug, with walls of moss and roof of sky and silky cobweb rug. A hummingbird makes the smallest cup-shaped nest. It uses spider webs so the little nest will stretch as the chicks grow. I think that's so amazing that they recycle spider webs. Spider web material is one of the strongest on earth, so it stretches as the chicks grow, but it gives strength to the little nest. And we can see that the little nest is covered with mosses and leaves and things they found in their part of the world. That little nest is about this big. It's amazing. Mama built a little nest. Well, actually, she didn't. She found one that another made, and then she laid me in it. Wow! Not all birds build nests. The cowbird, whydah, and cuckoo find a nest built by another bird species. Then they lay their eggs in it and fly off, leaving their eggs in the care of the bird who built the nest. So we look at this twiggy nest here with the blue eggs, and robins lay these beautiful blue eggs. So Mrs. Robin will care for this little egg that will hatch as if it were her own. Isn't that amazing? Robins are very special birds. Mama built a little nest. My daddy helped out too. They placed my egg upon his feet. That's where I hatched and grew. So here we see Daddy with that big penguin egg on top of his feet and his flap that covers it to help keep the egg warm. If the egg touches the ice, it would freeze and the little chick would die. So these are ways that they protect that precious baby. The emperor penguin uses a living nest, the father penguin. The father uses his beak to roll the mother's egg upon his feet quickly so it doesn't freeze, and carefully so it doesn't break. There it stays buried under his tummy folds for about 60 days, warm and protected. 60 days is about 2 months. What a good daddy. Mama scraped a simple nest upon a craggy ledge. She tucked me safe within her wings until my time to fledge. So up in the cliffs like this, birds will scrape out an area where they'll lay their eggs. They make that indentation so the egg doesn't roll out and fall down and crash. Certain birds, such as the falcon, create a nest called a scrape on a high cliff edge. The mother and father may scrape away at the ledge, creating a small indentation. And they take turns going to get food to bring back to feed the family. And fledging is when a baby takes its first flight. Daddy built a little nest, and then he built another, and another, and another, hoping to impress my mother. Like many wrens, a male cactus wren builds several dome-shaped nests to attract a female. If impressed, the female will choose one and then continue to add to its structure. Remaining nests may be used as resting places or roosts by the father, and may also serve as decoy nests to confuse predators. This is a smart strategy. They make all kinds of nests so that if a predator comes and sees there's nothing in there, they're safely in another one of these nests. And using a cactus as a place for a nest is a really smart thing to do too, because of all those spines. It stays cooler when it's around the cactus because of that fleshy skin, but all those spines on the cactus help to keep predators from coming too close to their nest. Mama built a little nest. She used her beak to sew a woven nest of silky grass, the perfect place to grow. Weaver birds create very detailed woven nests by sewing and weaving nesting materials together. They pull grasses and fiber over and around and under and through, using only their beak and feet. Isn't that amazing? And you notice they have hung their nest on this thorny branch. Another smart way to protect their nest, because animals don't like to walk where there's big thorns and spines that might cause harm. So very smart strategies for these birds. Mama built a little nest by digging out a burrow. It was a hoot, our little home, a safe and feathery burrow. The burrowing owl rests underground in a burrow nest. It can dig its own burrow or use an abandoned burrow created by a mammal. And this happens a lot in nature. An animal will make a cavity nest or an underground nest, and then they'll leave and they'll build a new nest the next day or the next year, whenever they're going to need a new home. And other animals move in. It's an amazing thing to see how it's like a great sharing of homes by all these different animals. Mama built a little nest. She gathered twigs that float and placed them on the water to create a cozy boat. Grebes create a floating nest on the water and anchor it to water plants. So we see these water plants, could be cattails or other grasses, and they collect mud and things and weave it in with grasses to create a long floating nest, and then they lay their egg. This is a really smart strategy too, because land animals would have hard time attacking their nest and getting their precious chick. When I was up in the Boundary Waters canoeing, I saw great big long floating areas with many different nests of different water birds, and it was really neat to see how they created this floating home for so many birds. Mama built a little nest. She made it on the ground, a simple nest, not very soft, with pebbles smooth and round. Many shorebirds create scrape nests on the ground. Their eggs often have colors and patterns to help camouflage them with their environment. Can you find the eggs in this picture? And here we see the speckled stones, and here are those 3 bird eggs that are perfectly camouflaged so that predators have a harder time finding them. Daddy built a little nest. Now don't gross out with spit. Who would have thought that spit would make the perfect place to sit? So we can see this is a big rock wall, and the daddy swiftlet uses a spit to create an enclosure to lay the eggs. He goes back and forth using his spit and lets it harden in between. The swiftlet makes an edible nest using tube-shaped saliva, which is another word for spit, which hardens in the air. It's almost like concrete when it's done. Swiftlet nests are used in bird's nest soup, a Chinese delicacy. So it's amazing to think about, isn't it? Mama built a sealed nest within an old tree's hollow. My daddy left a little hole to pass her food to swallow. So they built a big cavity nest in this tree, and they enclosed it with only a small hole to pass food back and forth. The hornbill makes a cavity nest inside a tree hollow. With the female inside and the male outside, both birds use mud and droppings to seal the cavity. We know what droppings are, bird poop. A small hole is left open with which the male uses to feed the female. She remains locked inside the nest to incubate their clutch. That's what they call their group of eggs. After the chicks have hatched, the female breaks out, helping the male feed and care for their young from the outside until the chicks are old enough to leave their nest and fledge. Look at this huge nest. This is called an eyrie. Mama built a sturdy nest by stacking twigs up high, a breezy nest upon a tree where talons blend with sky. The male and female bald eagle build a stick nest called an eyrie by gathering and layering many sticks. Their nests are among the largest of all bird nests, usually 5 to 6 feet in diameter and 2 to 4 feet high. And they will reuse those nests year after year. They just add new materials to them. When you are up in big wooded areas or along rivers, if you look at the tallest trees, oftentimes you'll see these eyries up at the top of the tree. It's really fun to be able to see them flying back and forth, caring for their young. Mama built a little nest entirely out of mud. No feathery down, no soft green plants, just fuddy, muddy crud. The male and female flamingos build a mound-shaped nest on the ground using mud, into which the female lays just one egg. So that one egg is especially precious to the flamingo family. You have a nest, your very own, a place to rest your head with pillows soft and cozy thoughts. See, we see Mr. and Mrs. Robin here. Your nest is called a bed. And what a cozy place. Oftentimes we'll have feather pillows or feather comforters. And I love that this room looks out onto Mr. and Mrs. Robin's nest, and she even has a beautiful bird picture on the wall. The world of birds is very exciting to learn about and explore. Scientists actually call birds living dinosaurs because they were able to adapt after the Great Ice Age. We're going to learn a lot about birds and how they've adapted to different parts of the world. There's amazing varieties in the world of birds, and we're going to explore this through stories.